Hello and welcome. This is Candace from Candoodle, and I'm so excited to be part of today's Valentine's hop. We're going to be making this fun interactive card with some Lawn Fawn supplies, so let's get started. So we're going to be using the Lawn Fawn Conversation Heart Stencil, the Hillside Stencil, the I Like You a Lotl stamp set, and the Lift the Flap dies. We're also going to be using a die from the My Favorite Things Blueprints 29 die set. So I'm coming in with that heart stencil, which I have put some pixie spray on the back of, and then I'm going to individually mask off each heart to ink blend them. I know it sounds a little much, but I thought it was worth it. I was going for realism, and I really wanted these to look like the conversation hearts that we eat at Valentine's Day, so I thought I would put a little bit of extra work into it. This card is probably one of the only Valentine's Day cards I'm going to be making, and it is for my boyfriend, who is all about the realism, especially when it comes to food. So for the pink color, I wasn't getting quite the color of the conversation hearts that I wanted with just the spun sugar, so I came in with a really light hand worn lipstick first and then a heavier hand of the spun sugar to get it the color that I wanted, and I think it ended up turning out quite well. For the orange, I am using Wild Honey. For the yellow, I used Squeezed Lemonade. For the green, I used Cracked Pistachio, and then for the purple, I used a combination again of Wilted Violet and Milled Lavender. So for each of these, I am masking it off just with some masking tape. You could use any sort of tape that you have. The ones that I have are Post-it note tape, which I quite like this for doing masking. I find that it doesn't hold on to too much ink, so even though you can see mine are quite dirty, which I know doesn't visually look appealing, but I'm all about reducing waste where I can. So I used those for this entire card and another card, which is why they have some black on them, and they were still sticky enough to use. So I'm just moving those around as I see fit. I didn't have a whole lot of rhyme or reason. I wanted it to look really organic, which is much different than my usual style. I usually map all of the colors out first, but I just went with it for this one, and I think it turned out okay. And I wish I had have noticed earlier, but if you put all the masks together, it goes much, much quicker. So I would definitely suggest cutting a square into your mask to make your own life easier if you do plan on doing this. Do as I say, not as I do. You know, that whole logic. So after a solid 20 minutes of blending, the grand reveal and the reason I use stencils, oh, so satisfying. And then I'm coming in with the second half of that stencil, which is the actual words part, and I'm going to use some Barn Door Distress Oxide ink. I started with my usual blending stump and realized this was going to cover a little more area than I needed to, so I got my teeny tiny picket fence blending brush out, and just to get right into those little nooks and crannies. And I did speed this up a ton because I know nobody wants to sit here and watch me ink blend for days on end. So once that is done, I'm going to do a second reveal, and it is so satisfying. It came out quite nice, and those hearts look perfect with the Distress Oxide stamps because they have that kind of chalky, dusty sort of finish, which looks just like the conversation hearts in real life. And then I took my Lift the Flap die and just ran that through my die cutting machine off camera, and then I just folded that back so it would stick out a little bit. I'm mapping out where this is going to go on my card base and adding a pencil line just so I have an area to work with, because I am going to put this in my Misty and line up my stamp to make a little scene on the inside. So I just took the little axolotl from that stamp set as well as the sentiment that says a Lotl, and this is going to go on the inside of the card, and on the outside it's going to say I like you. And I'm just taking a Post-it note and stamping down my second generation on that so I can make a mask for my little axolotl, because we are going to do some ink blending over this. I'm moving my pencil marks out a bit because I realized if I left them where they were, and once I glued down my card base, it might show if I wasn't super careful. So I thought I would avoid the disaster before it started. And then I'm going to come in with that Hillside stencil, which acts as a stencil and a mask. So I'm masking off where the ground is going to go. That way I can blend the background, which is kind of under the sea, or so I was thinking. So I came in with some Peacock Distress ink. This is just regular Distress ink now, not Oxide. And then I wanted to kind of add some depth and dimension, so I did come in towards the bottom with some Mermaid Lagoon ink as well. And then once I was happy with how that was looking, I had to come in with my distress sprayer because it wouldn't be a Candoodle card without it, and pick that up with a paper towel. And then I masked off the top, and I came in with just some dye-based inks. These are Altenew in Vanilla Cream, and then I did go back in and add some hazelnut towards the top to add some dimension. And I'm sorry I'm filming this at the strangest angle. I was standing up when I was ink blending this for some reason. I have no idea why. So it looks like my arm is like one with the camera lens. Anyways, once that is done, I am going to come in and peel up my mask, and there's my little axolotl. So I am going to Copic color this using some greens. I don't often use green for creatures, so I thought that this would be a really fun change for once. And while I'm coloring, I'm going to tell you a bit about today's hop. So if you comment on all 20 videos in the hop, you will be entered to win the grand prize, and this is open internationally as well. Katie has been so kind to put together a box of goodies, which you could win if you comment on all of the videos. You can find the link to the next video in my description box down below. And if you enjoy the videos, give them a thumbs up, leave a nice comment, subscribe if you like the person's artwork and their channel and who they are. It really helps us grow, especially YouTubers who have smaller channels. So we really appreciate all of the engagement that folks give us when they come, and we're just so happy to have you here. And I'm super excited to be part of this hop today. So back to the card, I have just colored the base with my lightest color, and then I go my darkest back out to my lightest. And where there was a little gap in my ink blending, I did fill that in with just an E53 Copic to make it look more seamless, and you can't even tell with the final card. Then I glued that panel down to my card base, and I'm getting prepared to put my front panel on top, and I'm just using some double-sided tape adhesive. This is my advanced tape glider, but you could use any double-sided adhesive. And once that is there, I'm making sure my flap is in the right place. I did heat emboss with white embossing powder the sentiment that says "I like you," and I just used kind of a flag-shaped die to cut that out. I wanted this die to have a little bit more stability because the flap was going to tuck behind it, so I did cut that die out 3 more times from black cardstock, and then I'm just gluing those together with my art glitter glue. And then I am going to come in and glue my "I like you" sentiment flag on top of that. And so once that is done, I am going to line it up on the card to kind of decide where this is going to go. I wanted it to be high enough that it can hold the flap in place, but also not too high that the flap can't open. So I was really careful with the placement, and then once I was happy, I put 2 pieces of foam tape towards the bottom. That way that flap has room to tuck in towards the top, and the foam tape isn't going to get in the way. And so once that is done, that is the final card. I hope you enjoyed this fun little interactive Valentine's Day card. If you are new around here, hello and welcome. I hope you'll consider subscribing. I'm so thankful to Katie for allowing me to be part of this hop. And again, the next person is linked down below. Don't forget to leave comments on all 20 for your chance to win the grand prize. As always, I would love to hear from you down in the comments, and you can always find me over on Instagram at CanDoodleCreations. And until then, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!